Okay, we're live. So today I want to work on something a bit different, or I want to jump back to something I was working on before. So initially I was building this form stuff. I jumped on from there to do graffiti and playing around with JSON API. And then I found TRPC, started building a backend and front end using TRPC. I want to continue doing that, but before I get back to that, I want to go back to work on Fab Components. So I want to fix up Fab Components a little bit. There's a few things in there that are a bit weird. I want to add modals because I'm going to be using modals very soon in the TRPC project. So I just want that available. And then I want to publish Fab Components as well. And the reason I'm taking a break from TRPC to do this is I got a comment on my last video where I was doing TRPC, playing around with the front end. A comment came up, somebody, Zaid here, asking any chance for the code to eventually be made available on, say, GitHub. So I want to do that. I want to publish the code. And it's, first of all, super cool to even just get a comment. I'd love to get more interaction, more comments, more views and all that, but I'm not really good at marketing and getting the word out and everything. So probably because I'm doing stuff with TRPC and people are searching for TRPC because it's getting super popular. So I'm probably getting sort of some leftover hits from YouTube, which is cool, which is amazing. Love it. So I do want to publish this, but in order for me to be able to do so, I do need to do some cleanup here. Because in my TRPC test front end, I am using Fab Components, and this goes nowhere. It's linked to my local directory, but there's no Fab Components on the internet, which means that if somebody checks this out, they won't be able to probably run everything. And I want that set up. I want folks to be able to check out the code and run it as it is. So I'm going to publish Fab Components, but I'm going to have to then sort of do some work there in order to do so. I haven't published an NPM package before, I don't think. I can't remember, which means I probably didn't do it. And so I'm going to figure it out as we go. Okay, so here is our form play. Like when I started off the repo, I thought I was going to have a front end and a back end. I was just playing about, but it started developing it to something that is reusable that I can use. So I'm kind of just jumping on here. Okay, so a few things I want to do. I want to get rid of this node modules in yarn lock from the main directory. I want to bring everything that is in front end into here, into the main directory, so that I can manage it as if it's its own sort of, repo slash project from the root versus having it in a front end folder. I don't intend to add a backend here. If I was to play around with it, I would import it into a separate project and add a backend there. So a few things for me to do here. But beyond that, once I get into here, I didn't set up a few things really well, which I want to correct as well, which I'll do in a bit. For example, here I have an error, and it's a parsing error, unexpected token as, which kind of lets me know that there is some TypeScript parsing issue here, which I want to correct. I don't want this to be a problem with ESLint or anything else. It's interesting because if I kind of load this up, I'm seeing all the types and everything is set. TS server is running here, but I'm not getting a proper thing here. Oh. And so I want to clean up some of this, and I want to make things work. So let me do that first. So in a different project, I did set up proper ESLinting rules. So let me do that. And I'm just going to copy it from here. And the difference here is that the main parser becomes the view ESLint parser. And then in parser options, the parser is the TypeScript parser. And hopefully then things will work properly. I have a proper plugin for this, and These remain pretty much the same. I did get rid of the Tailwind recommended plugin for ESLint because it was conflicting with some other stuff and it was giving me errors. So this is a cleanup that was overdue, and I'm finally doing it. So let's copy all of that, replace that here, and save. And I will need to add a couple of packages, Vue ESLint parser and TypeScript ESLint parser. So let's do that now. This and TypeScript dash ESLint parser. And if I do that, let me just exit everything and re-enter just so things load up properly. Wait for this to load up, and no errors. So hopefully that is working properly. I'm not getting any diagnostic errors, no troubles here. So that's good. Yeah, okay, so that seems to be working fine now. Ideally, I want to be able to type this, but you know, that'll come later. Okay, great. I think this is good. So so we did modify our ESLint config here, and just added the packages that we needed to make that run. Fixing up ESLint config. And we're good to go here. So that's some cleanup work. The other thing I wanted to do was bring everything into the main line here. And I believe I can just get rid of node modules. It is empty, right? So, and by the way, I'm just noticing this now where I type this in and then I press Control-C here, but it goes to the new line, which makes it seem like I ran it. And then I ran ls node modules, which doesn't make sense. Like this would have failed if this ran successfully. But because this is red here, it means that I press Control-C. So if I press Control-C, or there was an error, not that I pressed Control-C, but that the previous command didn't complete successfully for whatever reason. And so if this is red, that's the setup I have here with PK level 10 level, something like that. I forget the name of the package. But yeah, that's the setup here. So anyway, removing node modules, and then let's remove yarn.lock. And this yarn.lock is empty before I do that. It doesn't really have anything in it. Okay, and then I want to move everything from inside front end to out here. I think I can do this. Git move front end star to here. And it seems like it doesn't like it. Source directory is empty because there's an empty directory somewhere. I wonder if I'm gonna have to get into source directory is empty. I don't know why that should matter. I might have to, like, do I need to make this recursive? Dash V, dash F, that might be a force. Dash N, dry run, and dash K. Okay, I would have expected. Let me just commit what I have here now, which is really just nothing. So CC removing yarn lock. Okay, git move front end dash K front end star dot. That seemed to have worked. And I think that said, hey, if there's any errors, like, forgive me. But if I go into front end here, All right, so these are some folders that aren't committed to the code. So I could probably just move them manually one level down. I could probably just do this all together and move them down one level, leaving the front end folder empty. Come back here and then git room -f front end. Not removing front end for without recursive. So it did remove a few files that weren't moved. I don't want those files to disappear. I do want them to come through. So let's make sure that I'm bringing those in. And it's funny because dist folder and these are now showing up in untracked files because my get ignore file didn't move over. So I have these as deleted and I don't want these as deleted. So let's get restore staged these files, front end, you know, the whole lot. Well, not the whole lot, but front end / dot get ignore. It's not going to give me autocomplete on these. So I'm just going to copy these. ESLint, I just modified this file. Prettier, yes. And then VS Code extensions. So bringing these back. Or not, you know. I guess I want to restore the same files. Not from staging, but generally now these aren't removed. And then I can get move them manually, I guess. So let me come back up here and get move all of these to here. So get ignore file exists here, which is why I probably left it out there. So let me take a look. So I do have a get ignore. I don't have an ESLint and all that. Let's take a look at what's in here. Oops. Get ignore, just a DS store. So I can probably just get room. Let's get ignore and add DS store to it later once I do the move. Okay, that worked, which means I have a get ignore here. Perfect. And let's add, oh, DS store is already here. So, okay, no worries. And now it looks like I can safely remove front end. There's nothing in here except this DS store and this VS Code, which is empty. So that's fine. Yeah, I think I'm ready to remove the front end folder. And now I, whoops, form play. And I shouldn't now, if I do get status, I shouldn't see anything that's untracked. And we're seeing all of these are, most of these are renamed. This one's modified because I removed this. Or this one's, yeah, so that makes sense. So this looks good to me. And then I don't think I even have to do a yarn or anything. Like I will, but I think this is good enough for this to work. Okay, so let's get, well, everything is get added anyway. So all of this is already staged, which means I can just git commit. To the main folder, whatever that means. And okay, that's good. So now I'm ready to run yarn and all that stuff, and everything's already up to date because I moved the node modules over. So that looks good to me. So there's some cleanup work there that's done. Now maybe I can take a look at adding modals and then take a look at publishing this, which means then I can properly reference the published version from my other repos and still link it if I'm doing any local development, like I'll link it to my local path. But if somebody checks out the code, it ought to work for them. Modals. So the last time I was fiddling around, I believe I found a site called Flowbyte. which had these suggestions on how to style, your tables and all these components. And so I'm thinking, hey, I can bring these components um, into my app, maybe making some changes along the way here and there, but for the most part, bring them in and have them be available. I don't love all of these, but I think given that my overall knowledge in styling isn't that excellent, I can learn from making these components. And there's a whole bunch here, right? So I use pagination from before last time. This worked for me really well. And I have Tailwind UI as well, by the way, but I think you're not supposed to build a form library from that and then make that available. So there's just, it's not, that's not feasible to do. At the same time, I do want to use headless UI from the folks that make Tailwind and kind of use some of these components to build out some of the components that I'm building. So the modal, for example, here, I want to use some of the dynamics of the modal, some of the transitions that are happening here. I think if they define it here somewhere, I thought they would have the transitions here. Oh, this is React. Let's go to view. Okay, I guess this code here should have transition root, and there's some indication of what to do, how to run in transition root is provided by headless UI, and a bunch of other components like dialog panel, dialog title, and so forth, so on. So I want to maybe copy some of this as well and build out a modal. Alongside that, I want to really implement a pattern that I don't see out in the wild that often. And this pattern goes something like this. So let's say I'm in, some component, Fab form, sure. And I want to trigger a modal in my code. Somebody presses submit, and as a result of them saying submit, I want to now trigger modal. Maybe I want some kind of confirmation, right? Like cancel and okay or whatever. So I want to be able to do something like this. I want to be able to say confirmation equals show, confirmation modal, and then maybe pass it some information on like, okay, title equals, are you sure? Oops. Something like this, and then, whatever other things that I need in here. Await this, get a response from it, and then go something like, okay, if not confirmation, then return. Otherwise, do the submit. Something like this kind of a pattern, which would be really awesome, right? This takes care of it. There's a modal that shows up with this title, and all of it works. And I rarely see this kind of a thing out in the wild when modals are being discussed or described or tutorials and so forth. Even if I did have a modal, say in this form here, right? I have like I had a fab modal, and, my title's in here, and title / body and everything is in here with a button that says, submit, let's say. I still want to be able to do something like this. So I can add a ref to say, this is my confirmation modal, right? And come back up here and do something like, so I'd have to define a ref here for the confirmation modal. So let's assume I've done that. So I want to be able to say confirmation modal.show with an await, so that this shows once I press this button to close the modal, I get some value, return value back. and I can continue here. That would be super cool. Instead, what we typically see is this kind of a thing where we see like, you know, a V model show, and then you're sort of setting, you know, show equals true or what have you, right? This dot show or whatever the case may be. And then setting it to false once you close it. I don't want to do that. I want sort of this more programmatic invocation alongside the promises here. And I want to see if I can make that work. Now, the place where I saw this pattern being used was here in native script view. And maybe this is the same in other native script variations. There was modal routing, modal view. There we go. So the way that you trigger a modal in native script view is you say this on the global view object, show modal, and you pass it the component. And this will pop up a modal with this component in it. And then you do a modal.close to close it off. Seems fairly standard. You can pass props to the modal, which then get passed to your component here. And then you can return data from the modal. And this was super cool. So we're saying this dot, you know, show modal, pass together component, dot then, which means there's a promise here that returns data, and we're logging that data that we're getting back from showing the modal. And the way that you pass data back from your modal to the code invocating the modal is something like this. So you pass the value to your close function on the modal. So this is a great pattern. And I want to implement that pattern on the modal that we implement here. So this is a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work to, you know, whatever. Maybe, you know, maybe it's not a lot of work. Maybe it's just a lot of copy paste, whatever. Let me see if I can do that. So I might begin by copying some of this, bringing in headless UI into our setup here, and then seeing how it goes. Okay, yeah, let's give that a shot and see how that goes. All right, so here, yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of all of this, and let me start. With the server here, see that everything is working properly. I should be getting some kind of a form. Great. And maybe I can add a modal somewhere and work my way from there. Maybe I can even add like if you submit, instead of just submitting directly, a modal pops up and you have to confirm before the actual submit occurs. Something like that. And I can probably get started by creating a fab modal that is just this, maybe. And then I'll see if there's something from here that I want to extract. For example, I do want, and while I was looking at this earlier, I do want sizes. I do want to be able to indicate, you know, different sizes. And note that I clicked on the outside here, hoping that it would close the modal. I want that to be optional or configurable. So if you want to click outside and have it close, you should be able to, and vice versa. So clicking out here should be the equivalent of declining. Large and extra large. I wonder what the difference is because those widths look the same. This might be... There's a bunch of complications with modals as well, which I'm not familiar with, so I'll have to learn that at some point. And I'm hoping Headless UI covers a bunch of that for us, because a lot of this is to make modals more accessible. Okay, this is great. So we will want to add a backdrop, so we'll copy some of this. We do want to make it scrollable. This is amazing. initial focus, right? So focus needs to be handled properly in order for this to work. And so they're giving us an option to pass in a ref that triggers some initial focus. Yeah, so your dialog should contain at least one focusable element by default. We'll focus on the first focusable element if it's rendered, and then pressing the tab key will cycle through all additional focusable elements within its contents, which is along the side of making it accessible. Okay, so if you want something other than the first focusable element, do this. So we probably don't have to do that. Amazingly, this library is taking care of that for us. Remarkable. Okay, we don't really need to render to a portal. And then transitions, yes, of course. Okay, so we'll mess about a little bit with this and see how some of this turns out. That we might not want this, or we might want this. I don't know. Okay, so there's an open sort of an API, quote unquote, of the main dialog, giving us these options. Okay, so we can kind of get on the close event and do what we need to do and trigger our own close. So that's good. Okay, so enough kind of looking at the docs. Let's plug and play and see how it goes. Okay. For now, before I get into hooking it up here, I'll probably just have a button that triggers the modal. And we might, we'll implement it kind of the default way that we see it in many places, and then we'll convert it to this promise-based model of working. Okay, copy pasta. Here we go. Let's create a fab modal thing, and if you have just copied everything, although I'm just gonna replace everything right now. So that was, and they're using script setup as well, although they're not using TypeScript. So, and I believe the syntax for that is like lang equals TypeScript, lang equals CS. That's this. So let's get that in here. And let's see what this looks like. I want to see if there's any errors on this page. Right, so cannot find headless view. So let's install that to begin. Perfect. And I think that should be good enough for us to get that. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for the TypeScript server to pick up on these changes, or I have to restart Vim, which is annoying. But at least we fixed some TypeScript things at the start of this stream. Okay, so is open, and the value of is open is set one way or another. Right, so this internally manages whether it's open or not. Okay. I wonder if there's a way to export functions properly through setup, script setup. So we will probably play around with that a little bit here. So let's go into app.view, and I want to let's just call it, see what happens. Fab modal. Yeah, let's just straight up call it. Let's see. Okay, so that just takes over our screen. It seems like there is some kind of a thing here with this button. And then when we click on it, we get our modal straight up. Look at that. Thank you. Headless UI and the great as a tailwind. This is amazing. That's pretty remarkable. Come on. Okay. And by default, it's true. And then when you click on it, it triggers it. And this button here is on the outside. I mean, it's inside the modal thingamajigger. So ideally, I want this trigger to be a different button. So let me copy one of the buttons here and use that for the trigger instead. Open modal. And maybe this can be, you know, we'll do this the typical way that we see modals being done. So we'll have a very similar here. We'll have a, you know, is open or show modal here locally. And let's get this ref in here. Okay, I don't have this at all. So let's add this here. Let's make this false to begin so it doesn't show up. And let's name this show modal. And here I want to say show modals equals true, right? This is how we are told to create modals. And I'll just comment this out for now, see if there's maybe some other use for some of the styles here, you know, the fixed inset stuff that's making it appear. Save that and refresh. I'm still seeing this. Oh yeah, of course, because this show modal is not doing anything. Sorry. I can maybe say something like this. So VF show modal. So now I see nothing. And my open modal button's here because it's not part of this. And I click here and great. So now this doesn't work because the closing of that modal doesn't set my, so clicking it again doesn't work. But if I refresh and click, that works. So we have some hookup work to do here to make this consistent, right? Because the internal state of the modal should match the external state of the modal. I'm wondering whether I even want that. I do, I think I do, because I feel like people will expect that. I think just having a different style of modal activation might not be a great idea. So I might have to do some vModal business here to expose is open, and that can maybe be a vModal thing here. Maybe. But also maybe not. Maybe. Maybe there is no internal state. Maybe internally it's always open. So maybe it's always open, and really I don't need any of this, right? Because there's no real reference to is open anymore. So if I just get rid of that altogether, come back here. Now I can't open it. I would have thought that, oh, there might be some errors on like closing this and that. So, okay, let me think about this a bit more. Let me see if there's any error here on the closing thing, which is why it doesn't work. That I should fix at some point. And then, yeah, so a transition is used, but it is missing a show equals true. So that's probably, is that this? Yeah, so I do need a show around my transition route so that it gets passed. And maybe I can do something like this, which should transfer, what am I doing? Okay, which should transfer this over. So let's see if that does it. Let me just kind of shoehorning this to work a certain way that I might expect it to. So now when I click outside, nothing happens, probably because I don't have a closed modal. And I could do something like this if I want the state to be entirely external. So I can have a close here, which will get emitted when close gets triggered inside here. And then my close should be show modal equals false. Right? And then I just need to do an emit from here, which I'll need to look up. So I want close modal, but instead of I think I do an emit here, which I don't do an emit in this project. But let me look it up anyway. Script setup emit. And the reason why I have to do this over and over yet, because I don't use script setup on a day-to-day basis. I'm only using it as part of this project here. I'm not yet used to the conventions in the setup. And that's where you get living downtown, folks. I don't know how loud that siren will be, but that's what we get. Okay, so we'll just need to do something like this, which is define my emits, and this should be close, and then I will need to import it. I believe, yeah, it seems like I should. And then this will be simply an emit close for now. And because emit allows us to pass a value back, maybe, I'm not saying 100% sure, but maybe this is a venue to do that once we get there. So now there's no external state of the modal. It's pure, there's no internal state of the modal being opened or closed. It should now be all external, being managed through this click and then this this close emission. So let's get back here to see if that works. So open modal, click back out here. I would have expected a close. I'm not seeing any errors down here. Got it. I'm not seeing a close. So let's take a look. Emit close. And then I have at close. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Define emit, define properties. I would have thought I should be able to do emit close, and that should be good enough. And it is here, right? Like it's right here. Emit close. Did I save everything? I'm not sure if it's something obvious I'm missing, but let me just, console.log and all that stuff. Emitting close here. Refresh. Click outside. So I'm getting an emitting close. I am getting an emitting close with these buttons. So this function is running. Is it not at close? And could it be that show isn't? No. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But let's see. What if I did do show modal up here? And I think I do want to maybe transfer this stuff into here, so I see some padding. No, let me just put all this into its own div. So there's some padding here. No, I got rid of emit, but I still have issues. Okay, that's fine. And coming back out here, okay, so we see false, open modal, click back outside, and I'm not seeing that turn into false, which makes sense. So let's just see here. Yeah, I'm a doofus. It's because this close is not on the right thing. It should be on the modal. That makes sense. It's not magic, it's just code. Now when I go open modal, close, that works. It becomes false. If I click outside, it works. So now we have the external state of the model. So it's like, hey, we're not managing open close, you manage it. And it goes away abruptly, but it does come in nicely. I want to see how this worked. So both open and close were not abrupt. So I wonder if there's a way to manage that, but I'm not going to bother with that too much right now. Well, I'll think about it very quickly right now, but I'll give it a minute. So the reason it goes away abruptly is because of this. What if I got rid of this altogether? I wonder what that show is doing for us. So if I come in here, that does work. But I don't know if that show is, I don't know if that show has the entire model still here. And it seems like it doesn't. Right? And that model only comes into existence when I click this. Good. It is using teleport. It seems. I don't know. And when it goes away. So the VIF is superfluous because the transition route is taking care of that for us. So, okay, great. So spend a minute. Got it. Okay, cool. So I think I want to commit this because I'm going to be making more changes. And the changes I want to make are along the lines of bringing a dark background into the model by default. Maybe later on, if I don't want that, I'll make it optional. But I think for most of my use cases, I do want a dark background. And then, what else? Oh yeah, I want a slot so these internals aren't just this. I'm curious why there's a dialog title. I guess I know why there's a dialog panel, which I'm gonna keep, but the dialog title I am not want to keep because I just want that to be part of what I'll be doing. And then maybe the closed modal. Technically, I don't need a closed modal because that's being handled here. So if I just show modal equals false, everything should just work properly. Because if this button comes out here, then I don't need it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, but let me begin by committing. So let's take a look at what we've done. We've added a fab model, which is just a copy pasta from headless UI. And I feel like it's good for me to make that comment here and kind of follow the pattern that we have in all the other components, which is have script up here. I actually like the template being on top, but what else? Let's get rid of the code we don't need just for cleanup purposes. I don't think I need this anymore. And if I do, it's it's on the internet. We have closed modal, don't need that. And that just doesn't emit. I don't know what this is doing. Hold on. How does this work now? Oh, there is a dark thing here. There's what? I guess I just didn't notice. Okay, cool. And I think that's what this is doing. And then the button is, the button is doing something else. So cool. Okay, sorry, just caught up in the transition. Okay. That's good. So just some of that cleanup there. And everything else is just like, it's kind of ridiculous for me to commit this, but oh yeah, shout out. So, taken and Okay. Now this will show that we've added Fab modal. I want to add Fab modal to my export, but I'll do that once it's nicely set. And then here we're just calling it and managing state on the outside. So, but there's ways to go here, right? Because we want to still have a different API to show and close the modal, which might actually end up managing modal state internally. I don't know yet. Okay. Okay. What I want to do now. I want to make it slottable so that the stuff is on the outside. So I want to be able to say something like Fab modal, just, hello there. But actually, I'll probably just end up copying what's in Fab modal already out here. So I want to say this is good. I want to be able to just say slot, right? And this is the default slot. And let's make sure that works at least. So I get some kind of hello there in here. And that's my hello there. And I don't want to manage anything. Like, I don't want this to be. So let me quickly take a look at why dialog title exists, because there's probably some reason. Dialog title. Okay. Okay, so it's for accessibility reasons. So it's doing things like if your dialog has a title and description, use the dialog title and dialog description components to provide the most accessible experience. This will link your title and description to the root dialog component and ensuring their contents are announced to users when the screen readers are done. Okay, that sounds good. Is there a description here? No. Okay, cool. So what we'll probably do for this is we'll have a prop. We won't have a prop. We'll have more slots. We'll just have more slots. So we'll have a default slot, and then we'll have a slot for the title, should we choose to use it. So I should be able to do template default, and this will hold this, and then I should be able to do something like title. Okay, I'm liking this thing, and payment successful. Okay, and then this can be slot, which again I forget how slot is used. Slot name label. Perfect. And then I think I can just use something like this, right? Oops. Yeah, I can just use something like this. So out here, which means, okay, if slots dot title, slot name this, and this can go in here, and this can go in here, and this will be named title. And that should manage the dialog. So if the slot is there, you get it. If not, you don't. And because it is there, we should see it if everything is correct. And we don't see it. It's fine, just means everything is not correct. Can I do this? Can I do slots.title? Do I have to get it through? No, I should be able to do this. Template vif. I don't think this needs to be title here. It's not being used by any external. But I don't think that's okay. That is why. Okay, great. Because I'm using this as for a different purpose. Like you're passing in multiple. Like this is being eventually loaded by something else. Okay, so we get that, and then if I remove this, for example, then I just won't have a title. And then I can move this out. So let me just bring out that again, and then I can move this out here, and I can say, you know, paste this out. Whoops. Let me just bring that out again and paste it up here so that that slot will get replaced. So if I come back now, everything should look just the same. And then this too, actually, like that's it. That's all I need, really. I don't need anything else here. And maybe I can add a description later. So this should be on the outside. And instead of close modal, I could just do, you know, show modal equals false because we're handling that on the outside. So this then becomes, I got doubles, so I didn't, because I didn't save over here. And some of this modal component is fairly bare, right? It's just an emit, and then headless UI is doing all the heavy lifting for us. And I didn't even need to go to flow byte. Okay, got it. Awesome. So I want to commit this because now this is sort of a taking shape as a modal. And okay. I do want to maybe make this a bit darker. BG opacity, maybe 40, which should make this background darker. Yeah, I think that's fine. Can I do 100? Oh no, that is that the reverse? No, it isn't. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't want that. Maybe it should be controllable, right? Like if you did want sort of this immense focus, you do that. But I think 50 also is pretty good. Okay, that's cool. And we just refactored here. So let's commit this. And we've just really just moved out the title. So we're using that dialog component, but it's invisible to us. And then default is what we want to put inside the modal itself. That's just the usage. And really, we've just made it slottable. So slot, slot, slot. Great. Cool. So now we have a slottable modal. And now we get to at least some interesting aspect is to see if we can make that kind of promisable interface. Just trying to think. Okay, so what I'll try and do this. I'll try and see if I want to see if I make the whole thing a ref, whether some of these functions are available. So let's get into app.view. Let's add a ref to the modal. We'll just call it a modal ref. And here, yeah, let's just see what happens if we modal ref straight off the bat and see if we find that here. I believe this is our modal ref. And dot value proxy to, and what I guess what I'm trying to look for is whether close modal whether close modal here is exported, and it's not because it's part of the setup, and we want to export something from our our setup here. So let's just search for the script setups that, or just the scripts without setup. So script that doesn't have setup, that's this one. And all we're doing is just exporting inherit adders, which is part of the export of the component. So if I pop this here, and this is just old school view. Just trying to think. Because maybe I don't, maybe we can mix and match here because I'm doing that export. And I'm not using scripts setup. I want to say because this is available, I should be able to use it here. So if I did do something like close, and then I did this dot close modal, would that work? I know that if we had, for example, setup out here, and if we had a function and we returned close modal here, for example, then it would be available here. But I'm not sure if this is true out here. So well, let's find out. Let's find out if we see a close out here. And we might not. And that's just the way it is. So I'm not seeing anything out here. I guess my expectation was that I might. But maybe this ref is to something else. I don't even know if this is like legit. Okay, that's fine. Let's think this through. So I want to have view. I have a modal ref, and I kind of want to be able to do something like modal ref.close, modal ref.open, and have that work. Here for now it's gonna be like, hey, well, dot value. Okay, fine. And I want to see if I can make that work. Can I read properties of undefined reading close? That makes sense. Let's just get rid of that and see if we can get to a state where it works. What if I do dot value here? At this stage, it's undefined. So maybe it gets populated post initialization. So I shouldn't be doing it here, but on mount. So is there an after mount? On mounted. Yeah, on mounted. Right, and then we'll go pass it a function, and it'll be this, and we'll see if that value is populated post the mounting. It seems like it is, but I don't think I have what I want here. It's still just that object. Like it's populated, but it's not, I guess, not my object. So I will have to Google this. Messing about here is not really getting me where I want. Okay, so script setup, export default. Sure, let's take a look at that. And then script setup, export. See, that's a bit hard to search for because this ref is a ref to this thing here, but then this is also a ref to a typical ref, and I don't know that. That's all dealt with. So export default. So here we have this with this executed in setup scope for each instance. This is all executed only once, but these are additional options that can be declared. So that usage is correct, but there's only one instance of this. So there's only like an explanation here. So maybe we could just look at default view 3 ref, but template refs. Refs inside this, function refs. Oh. Okay, cool. Right, ref on component. Child.value will hold an instance of child. That's what I'm expecting. Define expose. I'm not familiar with this, so let's just do some reading here. The reference instance will be identical to the child component's this, which means the parent component will have full access to every property and method of the child component. That's what I want. This makes it easier to tightly couple, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, an exception here is that components using script setup are private by default. Won't be able to access anything. Unless the child component chooses to expose the public interface using the define expose macro. When a parent gets an instance of this component via the template refs, the retrieve instance will be of the shape of this. So I should be able to use define expose to expose my closed model function. So I don't have to do any of this, allegedly. So I should be able to do close modal here. And I don't need to do this. And let's see if that gives me what I want. It does. So I got close modal on my object, on some object somewhere. I'm trying to see where that shows up here in target, I guess, I assume. There we go. So I should now be able to programmatically trigger close modal from messing around with that object. So, okay, I'm glad we did that exercise. Okay, so theoretically I should be able to set timeout, blah, give it 1 second. And then here I'll do something like show modal.value equals true. So trigger that as a show thing. And then I can do another set timeout within. And here we'll do modal ref.value dot close modal. Oh yeah, okay. Nope. Show modal ref.value dot close modal. So that should be 2 seconds of up and down. Great. Awesome. So what I want to do is something like this now. So maybe I do want to transfer that state internally and then trigger it this way. And then not have that state external. So this click becomes, modal ref dot show modal, for example. I could just get rid of this. I can, the show here, we can move that now internally to here. where it was before. And we'll make it is open, no problem. Is open equals ref false to begin. Excuse me. And then close modal should perhaps both close it and emit a close just in case you want to do something specific after it's closed, but I can make is open dot value equals false, and let's have a show or open modal. And I might just call this show later on and we'll see. That does nothing. Okay. And I want to expose this. It's not being used anywhere internally here. And now we have made, I don't need this for now anymore. And so now we have a reference to the modal. And you're going to be using this modal ref in order to trigger anything. Which means here we're doing this modal ref dot show modal. Let me see, make sure we're not using show modal anywhere else. We were here. And this can also just be modal ref dot close modal. I can just do that, I think. Okay. All right. Cool. I am liking where this is going. Coming out here. Getting errors, cannot read properties of undefined show modal. So it seems like because modal ref is undefined until this is rendered, that's a bit that's weird. Do I need to do a VF modal ref here? Which is, it's a weird interface. Okay, so that's my automatic stuff, which I should just comment out for now in case I want to use that in a bit. And clicking does nothing. So nothing is as I expect. Amazing. So I would have thought I should be able to do, where is it? If modal ref dot show modal, should I don't think I have to do that. Any function should be run. Setup modal ref dot show modal is not a function. Is not a function. Okay, let's just test you out. Yeah, that's not good. That shouldn't do anything. Okay. Why is that? Modal ref is populated. I am using modal ref dot value dot open modal out here. I'm exporting it here. So in theory, I should be able to do this. Will I need to make this a function? Is my spelling all correct? Modal ref dot show modal. So isOpen is being exposed. I wonder if I can do modal ref dot is it being exposed like this? It is. So like that's available once we expose it. Open modal, however, seems like that's not. That's really messing with me. Okay, now it's working. Why? I'm sorry. What just happened here? Did I need to just refresh? Was that it? Did I have to do a refresh? So now I've gotten rid of. I think I just need to refresh, which maybe I hadn't done. Seems suspect. Okay, fine. And the modal ref in here works or should work because by the time you get here, it's the ref is visible. All right. So now the state of the modal is being handled internally, and I guess if you really wanted to handle it this way, you could have an is open out here. But I like this. And I want to change this to just like show and close. Um, and open modal. I just want this to be show. Okay, save, refresh. And nothing happens now. Am I going nuts? What am I doing wrong here? Help me out, fellow whomevers. I mean, there's nobody watching this, but help me out. What is happening? I bet if I put a pre in here with the thing in the expose is modal, it's gonna work. No, I don't know. So let's see. Is open. Let's expose that. No, no luck. If I expose this as okay, is open is here, and now so what? Maybe I never saved this, so like modal dot. Oh, what did I do? It's weird. That is so weird. What is happening? I mean, there's, you know, it's not magic. So it is opening, but it doesn't close, and I don't get an error. I can see, you know, show and close over here, as I would expect. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's stupid. It doesn't work if you invert. It is just code. See, like it's just, you know, I went through that. I kind of blitzed through that, and it is just code. Okay, it works. It's not you. It's me, and that's embarrassing but acceptable. At least it makes sense. Like just it you know. So now I can do this modal ref dot show. I don't need this allegedly, and now that works. And the way I caught on to that was I was like, why is only one of those happening? Just look here. Okay. Great. I am gonna get rid of this. I don't want to use this now that oops, now that I think I know what I'm doing. So here, instead of having like a ref to, and I don't want to expose is open. So now instead of doing something like is open true or false, whatever, you're just calling a function to open and close your modal. I'm just going to create a modal ref 2 just to show it as an example that this works with multiple modals. And I guess the only odd thing is we have to do this, which we probably don't have to do in a non-script setup, but we have to do it here. So let's make that 2 and okay. And let's just say setup. So that'll just be the indication that I'm in the other one. So now if I click here, it's successful. If I click here, we failed. So just to be like, it's not, because everything is in script setup, it is based on the instance of the modal. Cool. Okay, I'm happy with this. So I do want to commit this so far. Get rid of that. Okay. Modal on, modal off. Modal on, click, 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 button click, modal off. Perfect. Okay, let's commit what we have. So in the usage, what did we change? We have a modal ref, and we have this button using modal.show now, and we have this here closing through modal.ref. And what's interesting about this is that if we had wanted to, we can pass data into our modal through the show function as well, or through modal ref in general, but either or. And the changes that we made here is now open is now internal again, and is being managed through show and close. And that's it. That's that. Okay, I like it. I'm a fan. Internal to modal. And I'm okay with this. Like apart from that VIF business, you don't have to do that. Just have a reference to the modal. You're going to have a reference to is open anyway, so that's fine. All right, so now I want to work on returning a value from the modal. Okay, so let's think about this. I want to be able to do something like this. So let's go into our app.view. We'll do something like, hey, are you sure? Are you sure you want to submit? Check it before you mess it up. I think that's what the saying is. That's what all the kids are saying. And then I'll be like, yeah, I'm sure. I was going to be like, get off my back, but this is good enough. And I should just be able to use a fab button here, right? So fab button and fab button that, get rid of this, get rid of that. Type those buttons I can keep. Okay, right, this is our button now. Yeah, I'm sure. Cool. And it does put the focus on that button by default. And we could do things like have a cancel or whatever. All right. So now instead of this button triggering it, I want to trigger it through here. And then do something like this. So const confirmation equals await modal ref dot value dot show, right? And then if not confirmation, I want to return where I don't submit. But if I do confirm, I want it to go ahead and do the rest of the form. Okay. Yeah, let's see what we can do here. Okay. I'll get rid of this. And now I expect to see the modal here, although this might not like this. Like I'm actually not sure what will happen here. But it does mean that through my show, I need to return a promise that will, okay, just that this is formatting is bothering me, but okay, fine. So my button over there is gone. I can submit. This happens. I click, yeah, I'm sure, and it doesn't submit, right? So I need this working. I'm opening promises that aren't being resolved here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Injection form is running is not found. Can I fix this warning? Sorry, it is bugging me now because of its repetition. I thought that I did set a default value. Did I not? Provide key value. But in the case where in my button here, I should have inject and then like a default value, right? Form is running. I should have there should be multiple injects and I should be able to have a default value. So that's the problem. It's false. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. No error. And here, yeah, I want to later on take a look to see whether the browser gives me information like kind of hanging promises, which is really what's happening here. We're awaiting, but like awaiting to nowhere. Yeah, this needs to be false, actually. Okay, good. All right. So I wanted to submit when I click, yeah, sure. Okay. So back to our modal, where in our show, we want to return, we want to set this and we want to return some kind of a promise. Resolve something. And the resolution happens when we close. Right, so it means that I can have something out here that like it's my, modal resolve or, let modal resolve. What's the type here? Value unknown void, which I'll put out here. Returning a void, and that gets set here. So modal resolve equals resolve, right? And your problem is that it's declared, but it's never being read. So on close, we want to resolve it. I don't think I need to do the submit anymore. And I want a modal resolve here. And I want to resolve whatever value you give me, which is unknown to me, but passed on to you. Let's just comment that out for now and see if we want to get back to it. Which means in my app.view, I will now come back out here, and in my close button over here, I'm going to say something like true, right? And that should come back to me. So submit. Yeah, I'm sure. No, that didn't work. Because when I click submit, it started running right away. No, it didn't start running right away. This is part of, being in my if submit. And now when I click, yeah, I'm sure, I should see the results here. So that's working properly now. That's working perfectly because handle submit already, like if you're in it, you're spinning. Which means this confirmation is happening out here. Okay. So yeah, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, great. Spin, submit, done. What if I clicked outside? So if I click outside, it's resolved without a value because there's no value being passed into there. So I get an undefined. And we can prove that by console.log confirmation out here. This pattern is amazing. Why are more people, maybe more people are using this pattern. I don't know about it. But most of the modal tutorials I see don't have this. Yeah, I'm sure. Confirmation is true. And I should get a confirmation false when I click out here. Perfect. Which means then I can do stuff like this as well. So it's not just clicking outside. I can do something like, let's flex this up. Right, I can do something like, I think I had an outline variant. Did I? Yes, perfect. And I can have like a cancel here. And the cancel will just, it'll close false. Right? So come back out here, submit. Are you sure? Cancel. Doesn't submit. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. You could do more here. So for example, if this modal was in a separate component, for example, and when you clicked it, you open up a modal and you collect some information in the modal and you want to submit it back to your callee, right? So caller, you want to submit back to the caller. You could do this, right? You could do name equals low. And here, whatever, this might be something else triggered by something else, so not by the form or whatever. When you do this, you get this data back. And now you have control flow programmatically through promises in your modal. That's amazing. That's remarkable, which is why I am remarking upon it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to just change this to true. And I love this this flow. This is amazing. Cancel. Yeah, I'm sure. I want it. Done. Ship it. And now this is just, I don't need this div anymore because my modal is invisible until it is invoked, right? Although I'm not sure what all this padding is all about. Okay, whatever. Cool. Still cool. Okay, so I'm going to leave that in. And now we have it. We have this sort of programmatically invoked modal. Which again, if you wanted to invoke it through a button, it's just a modal that does nothing, no problem. But if it's a modal that's something intense, you got it. Okay, now we've just changed the we're invoking it here through our handle submit. We could even build it into our form. So for example, if we wanted to do something like, if we didn't want this like spinner here, until you click, yeah, I'm sure, which I think is a better interface. I don't like this. For now, I'm going to leave it like this, but later on, maybe in a different session, I'll clean this up. So I don't think this should be spinning until you click, yeah, I'm sure. Now this is an indication that you're submitting. This looks like it's already done submitting. I was fooled by it, regardless of, what the code is. We could theoretically pass the modal ref into a form, right? Like, or just being like confirmation ref. Assuming that we want a confirmation. So that would be modal ref. And then our Fab form knows about, triggering modals on and off and getting a confirmation before triggering the handle submit here. Confirmation modal ref. Okay, can I make this work? Fab form. And so I would accept the prop. Here, maybe I can just extract it through the adders. Sure. Getting that modal ref. Confirmation modal ref, sure. And here in my, where would I do it? Where would I get triggered? Because I don't want it to get triggered here. Like on I want to do it on submit, but I don't want to run perform immediately because the perform is the thing that's running everything. So let's say, this is bad naming, but whatever. Submit wrapper. Why am I consting? And then I can just do something like, I can call submit wrapper here instead, and then we'll take we'll take submit task.perform, because I'm gonna just forget what this is and where this is. Okay, and then args. Just give me a break. Okay, and here we could say, okay, if confirmation modal ref, then do this. Really wish that worked. Conf modal ref. Object is of type unknown. Again, just for now, I just want to see this work. Okay, and this, it doesn't like it because, yeah. Why didn't it bug me out here? Why is this like, hey, does it have a fix for me? It does not have a fix for me, but it's like, hey, deal with it. Again, I'm gonna leave that for now. So down here, we are running our submit wrapper. Our wrapper takes the args, and if not confirmation, then return, like don't run it. And I can get rid of that from here and here. So now, theoretically, if I submit, I would have hoped I would have seen that, but maybe I need to make it a prop. A prop or prop. Cannot read properties of undefined reading show. So the dot value didn't work. So what is this? What is this then? Of course, of course. Pardon my behavior. It just runs for free because confirmation modal is undefined. How is that? How is that? Please tell me. Am I not allowed to pass refs through? Is that illegal? Is that inappropriate? My assumption would be that this ref, just like any other ref I would be passing into here, should just work. So that didn't work out. Maybe I should just retreat here, you know, take my punches and go home. Truly would have thought that it would have materialized in... Oh. Okay. Yeah. Adders. I think we should be able to see what's happening here because I think view modifies the... It's like it's a binding. It's not just any thing. So here there's a value. Adders confirmation modal ref. What am I doing wrong? Confirmation modal ref. Coming in through here. Conf modal ref. It has a value here, but I am not able to extract it. And this is because of what? Confirmation modal. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Look, it has everything I want. It's in my adders. Did I spell it wrong? No. Maybe I should just be using proper props. So props. Conmo ref. Let's just say you're unknown for now, just to help me out. And here I should be able to do props dot, right? So props dot conmo ref and props dot. This has to go away, of course, and that means this is correct. And the proxy doesn't have a value anymore, so this goes away. And maybe this is sort of frowned upon, but what else? Voila. Cancel, no run, submit, runs. Beautiful. So now we have this sort of tightly coupled system between our form and our modals. And we're able to pass as any arbitrary modal, so you're not constrained by passing it some values. I love this. Okay. And I promise I'll type it later. Really, all we have to do is promise the... Really, we have to type the... should I be able to do something like, import fab form from dot slash don't allow. What is this? Because I did slash here, so I could no, don't allow. I don't want that right now. Dot slash, you are allowed. This is already fab form, so what I really meant was fab modal. Fab modal. Should I be able to say this? Because this has a type. Like there's a type. Of fab modal. Maybe I should. Do I need to say type of fab modal? It shouldn't really be any. No, that is that right? Yeah. Okay, so now I don't need to do any here. See, I did just like I promised. Okay, so it's fully typed coming in. I mean, this isn't typed, but the rest of it is typed-ish. How do I type this? Yeah, actually, I should be able to steal it from form, right? Because the submit function of a form, the args in there are what I want. But I'm going to leave this as is for now. Just be happy with this, right? That's pretty cool. We're getting a reference to this, the instance of this. And then, you know, you're doing your business here. Cool. Ideally, we can make it a generic too. So for example, we could say something like Boolean here. Because I'm not passing anything in here. It doesn't make any sense. I'm going to stop working on this if this doesn't work. Because I don't want to. And then no, that won't work because it's not assignable to type value unknown. Why not? I guess it's whatever, right? But I don't think I can just do that. Can I do that? No. Oh, sorry. That's this. But how do I let you know? Value t or promise like t. So I should be able to do value t or promise like t here. Does that make it happy? Nope. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. All I wanted was this to be typed as but I guess I can't because that'll be just too involving. Because that has to be like that. Which means modal resolve is like this. value is t or promise like t, but that's because I was able to do this. Oops. But obviously this doesn't make any sense. Like I can't just have a t out of nowhere. Ah. No, I can't do that. Like it is void. It's not. The resolve is void. It's not. That's not gonna work. I do have to say this, don't I? Let's just trick it. But I don't think that will do anything out here, right? Like, that'd be cool if that typing was married in between functions. I'm sure there's gotta be a way of doing that. Because this returns a promise of t, right? Which if it gets awaited, it's t, which means that you should be doing this. Why is that not happening? Because this should be... Oh, that's an any. What? Even though it's defined within the component, it just becomes an any? That's upsetting. So it didn't work. This is a lie. Define component. This is a lie. Because that, I believe this here now would have worked if I didn't realize show was any. Everything I said was a lie. This just is like string any. That's not. So this here is define component blah blah. No. Return type? Is that, would that what we want? I don't know. We're just gonna have to experiment here. Yeah, there's no return type of this thing here. It's just me messing about. I was almost done. You know, I was ready to wrap up here. And define component. How do I get this type here? How do I get this out of this? There's got to be a way. Okay, who's gonna read this now? I was almost done. It was so nice. And then I had to do this. Just want to extract those raw bindings. Just want to pluck them out. Can I do that? Is there a... Do they have a type here that allows us to do that? There's a bunch of different components. Define exposed, define props. Directive. Let's see if raw binding shows up again. Okay, I promise now I'm going to give up soon. Component options. We're still going down. I mean, honestly, even if one of these were the solution, I might not immediately recognize it anyway, which is a shame. You can use interfaces for this type of thing. Yeah. Choose instance type, they say. Okay. Let's see if that is how that works. Let's get back to my form. And instead of return type, what it is saying we want is instance type. Which makes sense because it's not a function to be returned. It's a class, I think. It's an object that has an instance type, which means that now I'm not getting a thing here, which means that this should be a Boolean. Will you look at that? Will you look at that magic? So now your type of files should be happy. Cool. Okay, so this is not a lie. And now I know how to do this. That makes sense. I can give me a Boolean. I'll tell you what it is. Yeah, because we're not passing in like a Boolean variable that. So we have to let it know what we intend the type to be, and then it's going to give us that value back. Cool. That is amazing. That is amazing. Along with all the things that are available in that component. Super cool. All right. I've made a lot of changes now all at once. This I'm still going to leave here for now. Because this is too much now, right? Like I'm not going to go fix that now. All right, so app view, we're using this modal ref. And right, I've just moved that outside the div. And here I'm passing this modal ref, so I made this like tightly coupled business where my forms can now, I can pass it a modal and it has a confirmation modal. Remarkable. Who is doing this? I'm actually curious. Like, not like, oh, nobody else is doing this. I'm actually curious to see who else is doing this kind of a thing. that makes it so like, you know, I like this UI a lot. I mean, sure, there's, you know, concerns here that are being um, sort of handled in one place or another, but this is like I want this functionality. Like this is something that is reasonably, you know, wantable here. And here in my Fab modal, done a bunch of things here. We no longer emit. We are resolving. I had to do this kind of a cheat though. It would have been nice to be able to resolve cleanly, but I don't know how to do this otherwise. Maybe I don't need to do this. Right? What was this before? This was nothing before. So, okay, hold on. Maybe this can use a little bit of love. I had said unknown before, right? It was like unknown this. I should be able to pass that in here, should I not? No. This is like your unknown, and I can't. It's like I can't handle you. But really, because it's super internal, I can just do this now. I can just do as type of modal resolve because who cares? Nobody cares. Right? You're this, fine. Only you care because nothing is happening with these things. Like this is being resolved here. And close T value to, like it doesn't matter. Because no one's checking up on this. No one's checking up on this. And it would be something maybe if like show returned its own like, you know, whatever function of close, but I don't need to get into that right now. This is fine. When you close it, there's no real return value that matters here anyway. So this could just be unknown as well. And all that matters is this because you're awaiting this anyway. Because it does return a promise and you get a promised T back. Cool. And you don't have to care about it if you don't care about it. This is more appropriate. Okay, so we have a modal resolve. We are storing that resolve when we show, and then we're resolving it when we resolve. Okay. I think I'm happy with this. Cool, we have a promise resolvable modal. Legit, like that's super cool. Publish npm edge. Let's see if creating and publishing scoped public packages. Can I do it with Yarn? I have to create an npm account. Once you've done that, you can set up your username and email in Yarn. Okay, so I might come across it someplace where I have to, you know, I could do it in a window off screen. So Yarn login. So I do a Yarn login and create an account. Let me do that now. npm username, is this available? that's all I needed. Okay. Okay. So this is like, I do still need to go and create an account, which I will do quickly off screen. So I am filling out this form off screen right now. And try not to get distracted by, the world. Okay, so I've filled it out. I have an account with my username as this duck. Cool. Okay, and because I did a yarn login, that information is saved somewhere here. And it will probably ask me to enter my password in here when I publish, which I have in this like password system here. So, okay. Wait. Publish your package, yarn publish, and this should publish it. But I feel like I should scope it. So I do want to do something like this now. I do want to do this duck. Fab Components. Okay, I think that should be fine. We're not hurting anyone here. Yarn build. A new version to publish. Next, you'll be asked to enter your npm password. So I should have it just ready here to be copied. Okay, so if I do yarn publish, wait, this is okay. Let's figure that out. TypeScript. No, I want it in TypeScript. No. So I just type it as we would expect. And well, let's see if I can type it properly now. Fab form, and it's from form submit. That's too dirty, isn't it? So it's literally like, so type of form. That's not what it is. But it's like instance type, which we learned just 2 seconds ago. Oops. Let's change surrounding this to this. No, it doesn't want to change surrounding this to that. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, that's not it either. So this so what it is submission handler generic form values unknown. I believe. Which is this on submit here. So I think I can I just do that? Okay. Well, this is what I should have done. On submit is this, and this is T return extends. This is the type of the function, not the type of the parameters. And this is the values. So this is what I want. So I should be able to do this, I think. Right. I should be able to do something like that. That doesn't make any sense. I want to say values is like just unknown. Yeah, see, the T values is just like extends generic form values. Can I say that? Like, it doesn't like it. It doesn't export generic form values, probably for good reason. Just record string unknown, which I think we can safely say here without needing this. I don't need to extract it from anywhere, right? I can just get it. Oops, what just happened here? Okay, yeah. I deleted to the wrong spot. So I should be able to do something like this. And then here, I should be able to do values dot and pass it the context. And folks should be happy for now. Although I should be able to do that here as well, right? Because it is just values and context. Values and context, values and context. Right, and we're getting that context there, and we're getting those values there. So CI values context here. So now we're not, we're not pretending not to know what it is. Like I did before, like I passed that context in without really caring. Okay. So this should be good enough for now. And the reason I was doing that is because did I try to build at some point? I did a yarn publish and it didn't work. So let me yarn build here. Okay, that's good. 14 seconds to build. Okay, so then I publish, and I would have to give it my password. Okay, let's see if that does anything. Yarn Publish. Package marked as private, not publishing. Good. So let's fix that. We are not private. And our version is 0.0.1. So yarn publish. Well, let's build anyway. I don't know if that's necessary. I think it probably does the building. Or doesn't. It doesn't matter for now to me at this point. Okay. Yarn pub. New version is 0.0.1. Don't at me. My password is this. It seems like they've sent me an OTP in my email, which I will access off screen. And paste here. You must sign up for private packages. But I did sign up. Do I need to like pay you for private packages? I do. I don't. See, I want to do this deck thing for namespace purposes. I don't want to do it for I don't want to do it for, like, it is a public package. Oh. Hold on. I should be able to indicate that it's a public package. Access, I think. Public. Okay, let's do that. Zero point 0.1. You're going to ask me my password again. I'm going to give it to you again. You're going to ask me OTP again. And I will oblige. And that worked. That worked, which means I believe, so we just had to indicate that it was public because it was scoped, and therefore it's private by default. npm js.com can do Fab Components. Oh, Fab is a component type. That's a shame. I can, maybe make it part of the description, like Fab as in fabulous, But if I think I just follow this format, right? Because I can just go here to this, and it's this, so it should be this duck fab-components. It's probably not going to be any search or anything right now, but it will be here. And I should, well, I mean, for now it doesn't matter, but here we are, all published as this, and now I should be able to import this in my other packages and have a modal to use and have buttons and everything. Fantastic. Let me just commit this here, and we're done for today. Cool. I will push this to a Git repo as well, and I'll add that to the comments and stuff. Actually, I could just do that right now. I will have to do some of this off screen. I am doing this. I'm just going in and creating a new repo here. the repo and pushing it. Okay, that seemed to have done it, which means here now I have this repo. So the code is here. It's not, you know, it's not the bestest ever, but it is here as I've coded it. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's it for today. We've been doing this for a couple hours now. Yep, and yep. You know, there's other stuff to do in the modal still, like size them and all this, but we can get to that later. But I'm really happy with the promisable modals. Cool. All right. See you next time. You'll see me next time.